have everyone silenced. There he is. Yep. Making himself known.
So, today we're going to be doing something that's so fundamental and yet so alien that when you hear these words, you think you understand it, but you really don't understand it. So we're going to start with a reading from Swami Kripalu. Our meditation today is going to be Brach's Unconditional Friendliness, which is a theme that you're going to hear in almost every spiritual teacher that you run into, including Jesus. So let's start with Kripalu because he says it most succinctly. He says, "My beloved child, break your heart no longer." You hear that? Break your heart no longer. Unconditional friendliness, no judgment, no criticism. Every time you judge yourself, you break your own heart. I don't care what you think you're doing. You're crushing your spirit every time you're judgmental towards yourself. You stop feeding on the love that's the wellspring of your vitality. You are love. Spirituality is the manifestation of the love, the joy, and the peace that you are. This is basically a question of identity. Who are you? And in the West, we've been so conditioned to think that we are our thoughts, our feelings, what we do, that when we say be yourself and we hear that, we think be what you feel, be what you think. Well, that turns us into the narcissistic idiots that we had back in the 90s. It's my feelings, damn it! You're disrespecting my feelings. Well, fuck, get over yourself. They're worthless. We're conditioned. They're not real. They're a conventional game we play. You can't build anything on your thoughts and your feelings. So when you stop all thinking, all the feeling, what's revealed? Love, peace, and joy. You grasp it as the background of all the stuff that you think is you. So it's really a gestalt shift. Am I all this stuff that I've spent years trying to perfect, or am I what happens when the beatings stop? So Sherry Huber, in an absolutely marvelous book called There's Nothing Wrong with You, says spirituality doesn't begin until the beatings stop. Okay? And so she has this nice thing where she's talking to her students, and her students say, but what would happen if you stopped listening to the self-hate? What would happen if you stopped beating yourself up? Says, I find my worst beatings don't come from my list of things to do. They're about behavior, psychological kinds of things, emotional ways that I've learned I'm supposed to be, as if they're the laws of the universe. I have to be polite in these circumstances. I have to be clever or nice. And so she says, so the fear is that you're going to either, one, never going to achieve all your potential if you don't beat yourself up, because that's what you've been trained to think, okay? Or, and this is a little deeper thing, there seems to be an element of not having control when you stop the beatings. If I don't get a beating, there's a feeling of spaciousness, and at the same time, a terror in that spaciousness. Part of me wants more than anything not to be in control, to just go with the moment, to go with the flow, but another part clings desperately to control. It wants to know what's going to happen. It wants to be able to influence what happens next. And so it goes on to say, the no beatings creates an oddly uncomfortable sense of freedom, total freedom. And Sherry says, freedom and spaciousness, that's what's there. It's also a loss of identity, because identity is maintained through this insanity of self-beating. That's what keeps the whole thing going. If I learn to pay attention, to be present in the moment, I can actually see all of this happening. So the purpose of meditation is to see the beatings. Okay, your suffering is always the self-beating. Okay, that is not self-love. Okay, so she has another section where she says that constructive criticism, okay, she'll say, let's say that you've been less than kind towards someone. And the voice of constructive criticism says, that was pretty harsh. You're too sarcastic. You always have been. You better clean up your act before you alienate everybody. And this voice justifies itself by saying things like, I'm just trying to point these things out to you so you'll be a better, kinder, happier, more loving person. Constructive criticism is a scam run by people who want to beat you up. Who want to beat you up. They don't want you to believe, and they want you to believe they're doing it for your own good. Hear that? You think you're doing this for your own good, but that's the voice of your abuser. Alice Miller was right.
Whether it's someone else or yourself.
Be suspicious of any voice, inside or outside, that says there's something wrong with you. This voice does not like you. It is not helpful. Well, then what's the alternative? Perhaps in the awareness that you have been unkind towards someone, you might realize in a gentle sort of way, I don't want to feel that way. It doesn't do that because it doesn't feel very good. It's not that you're a bad person or even that you shouldn't be that way. It's just that you don't want to be unkind because it hurts your heart. We can't even imagine what it's like to be motivated by love instead of fear. That you could say, when I see the pain I create in your eyes, my heart constricts. And I let go of that behavior so I can manifest the love that I feel. Do you hear the difference? It's a radically different motivation. We're so convinced that we won't do anything if we stop beating ourselves. But instead, you'll be motivated by a totally different source, which is your love, your care, your compassion for all of creation. So you can't do both. This is not a program of self-improvement. It is not a program of self-improvement. When you realize your true nature is peace, love, and joy, that you are divine, how do you improve on divinity? That's why it's a question of what is your identity. When we say you're good just the way you are, you're perfect as you are, we don't mean your behavior, we don't mean your emotions, we don't mean your thoughts. No. What we mean is that true self that we've lost is already perfect, it's already sacred, it's divine. Which one are you going to identify with? Which one are you going to live from? You can't do both. They're two different parts of your brain. You can't be in both of them at the same time. So let's go. Again, we hear these words from our spiritual teachers, but we don't understand that it's not just, oh, I should be friendly to myself. No. It's so much more profound than that. Don't trivialize it with that. I'm going to be my own best friend. No, fucking be the god and goddess that you are. Stop being so goddamn small and identifying with the bullshit. Be that grandness that you knew you were when you were a kid and go, look at me. Look at me. Here I am. Look at me. That's who we need to be, right? We forgot.
You are the universe in ecstatic motion.
In ecstatic motion. Did you hear that? You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Yeah. Let's shoot for that on the cushion, okay?
So Tara's meditation is about 10 minutes, and then we'll continue in silence for the remainder of the 20.
We've been talking about being present, relaxing, being awake to your senses. And you might be thinking, great, so how can I do all this and get it right? Maybe you're even thinking, I can see I'm not very good at this. It's valuable to look at why mindfulness practice becomes a rewarding experience for some people, while others struggle with it and become discouraged. Throughout our decades of teaching, we found the key reason is attitude. Those who experience great benefit from mindfulness practice are relating to whatever's happening inside them with an attitude of friendliness. They regard their experience as one would regard a good friend, with interest, acceptance, compassion, warmth. You might reflect for a moment and just sense, what is your typical attitude towards yourself? Especially if you're feeling anxious or angry, off balance in some way. For many of us, our attitude toward ourselves can be far from friendly. We have deep habits of judging ourselves as lacking, deficient, inadequate, in pretty much everything. I call this the trance of unworthiness. It's a chronic sense that we're somehow falling short. We're not always aware of it, but our judgments can affect every part of our life, our relationships, work, creativity. Feeling imperfect or not enough, it's a common experience. There's a cartoon I love with a dog lying on a couch, and he's in a psychiatrist's office. The dog's saying, it's always good dog this, good dog that. Is it ever great dog? We can carry our perfectionism into mindfulness training, and then mindfulness turns into yet another project where we're falling short. The good news is that there's another way. You can learn to be a friend to yourself. And maybe a good model to consider is how you might train a puppy. You don't want to hit the puppy. Rather, you'd be patient, friendly, warm. Come back, sit, stay. Yes, that's it. Good dog. Or great dog. Why not? It helps to be playful. Now, as we practice, all sorts of inner weather arises. It gets very, very calm at times, and other times it's rainy or stormy. Everything happens. When we can relate to that inner weather with a genuine interest, a respect, a kindness, it doesn't take over. With an attitude of friendliness, we can witness what's happening and develop a deeper understanding, a real sense of connectedness in our life. We see this in the work of field biologist George Schaller, who returned from the wilds with more intimate and compelling information about gorilla life than any scientist had ever presented before. When asked how he had learned so much about the details of their tribal structure, family life, he attributed it to one thing: he didn't carry a gun. Previous generations of observers had assumed the wild gorillas were dangerous and arrived toting large rifles. But George Schaller went without a weapon and moved gently, slowly, and above all, respectfully among these amazing creatures. We can approach our inner life with these same qualities of attention. It's important to know that our habits of self-judgment and self-aversion can be persistent. But as you practice with kindness, you'll begin to radically reduce the strength of the inner critic, to more and more put aside the gun. Not only are you cultivating a healthy relationship with yourself, you're creating the groundwork for a friendlier, more compassionate and accepting relationship with others as well. The following guided practice, which uses the image and feel of a smile, will nourish your mindfulness by helping you create an attitude of friendliness. Research has shown that smiling has a direct effect on the activities of the brain associated with happiness. And while putting on a smile can't cause happiness, it can tip you in that direction. So let's explore this together. Find a place to practice comfortably and close your eyes, bringing the attention to the breath, relaxing with the inflow, relaxing with the outflow. Be aware of your whole body, just sitting here, breathing. Now, as if you were smiling into your eyes, let the sense of a smile spread through your eyes, feeling the outer corners of the eyes slightly uplifted and the flesh around the eyes softening. Let your brow be smooth. Feel a real yet slight smile at the mouth, and also sense the inside of the mouth smiling. Relaxing the jaw, notice the sensations that arise through the mouth and cheek area. Now visualize and feel a smile spreading through the heart and the chest, and sense how this creates space for whatever you might be feeling. See if you can allow the sensations and feelings in the heart area to just float in this tender space. Take a moment to again return to the eyes, softening and relaxing them. Feel a slight smile at the mouth and the openness of a smile at the heart and chest. And now imagine the sense and feel of a smile spreading through your whole body, filling the cells, the spaces between the cells, creating a relaxed, open atmosphere for the changing flow of sensations. Imagine and sense this atmosphere extending outward so the whole space of awareness is filled with the warmth and friendliness of a smile. Resting in that receptive openness, simply witness and feel whatever sensations or feelings arise over these next couple of minutes. Let your intention be to notice changing experience with the benign interest and care of a grandparent watching the young ones at play. If you notice your attention has wandered, you can refresh the smile and the quality of friendliness and ease by simply softening the eyes again, feeling a smile there. A slight smile at the mouth, smiling into your heart. Again, resting in that atmosphere of ease and receptivity, just witnessing the changing dance of sensations, of feelings, of life. If you notice the attention's been distracted, in any moment, you can arrive gently again in this aliveness of the body, sensing the experience being held with that warmth and ease of a smile. As you complete this mindfulness practice and move into your day, you might explore bringing a smile to the eyes, the mouth, the heart, whenever you remember. Let it awaken a sense of ease-filled presence and well-being. The smile can nourish an attitude of friendliness and acceptance as you relate to your inner life and your world.
It's a little sweet.
Righty, questions, comments?
So I couldn't help but think about how this relates to what we talked about last week. Woody was talking about posture.
Mhm.
Uh, so the struggle with for the first few years, the struggle with posture and the feeling that you're not doing it good enough. That struggle with
As
posture,
opposed, right,
So can you talk about
as
that?
opposed, yeah, as opposed to being present and feeling the difference between being aligned and how good that feels, how delicious it feels. Not a matter of right or wrong or anything anyone can teach you. You still got to find that sweet spot. And once you find the sweet spot, you know when you're out of it. And then you want to move back into it. And that's that different kind of motivation. It's the way they now motivate in sports. It used to be if you're a batter, they'd go put your weight on your back leg and get your torso rotated and get your wrist cocked. And then when you turn your torso, bring your hands through first, and then make contact, look at the ball, do this, and then follow through, shifting your weight to your left foot. And, people couldn't hit the ball. And then sports psychologists, after a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, got into mindfulness. See the ball, be the ball, hit the ball. If you're present, you can see the ball. You can't hit what you can't see, which is what a slump is, which is when you start trying to correct your swing and you're up in your judgmental part of your mind and you're a half second behind reality.
Yeah,
It doesn't
it
work.
has to do with that transit. I mean, it took me a while to realize that these judgments on the posture were this deep sort of, sometimes we don't see that.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So good for pointing it out. It's how subtle and persistent and pervasive it is, and how much that interferes with your practice. So the next stage is, oh, I'm being judgmental. Well, that was judgmental. And then you
Yeah.
get caught in that loop for a while. So you really just have to just see how impossible it is to do this, given your conditioning. It's gonna jump up.
How did it feel to smile? Did it change anything? I know at, at our meditation retreat, first few years, it became apparent there was a woman there that meditated and always had a half smile on her face. And becoming aware of that as I looked across the room, it helped to support my meditation. And we got to where when we would go to the retreat, we would then purposefully set ourselves up across the room from her so so that we could feel that energy.
And I was thinking the same thing. It's uh, who is it that has that wonderful saying that when we liberate ourselves, we give other people permission to liberate themselves. It's what would it be like, to sit and radiate that kind
Yeah.
of relaxed, open presence to everybody that you meet. I mean, that's what your spiritual teachers are suggesting, that you're wanting to be that kind of present, but you're coming from a, I should be that kind of person, instead of establishing it in yourself and then moving out. So if you can't establish it for yourself on the cushion, how can you take it out? Does that make any sense? That's Jesus's comment about take the beam out of your own eye before you try and get the mote out of your neighbor's eye. Before you start any self-improvement on another person, make sure you're not being judgmental.
What I liked about yoga, Hans's class, we'd be doing the posture, I'd be cracking up because I'd be laughing all the way, trying to hold the posture, or not be, or not being able to hold the posture and falling off, and hanging onto the wall. Or she would say, okay, do the posture sitting down or do the posture against the wall. And I realized when the class was over, the energy of just feeling the energy of the awareness of what was moving through my body when I left the class was the yoga.
Yep.
It was not the posture. It was just like that whole day, and still is. The whole day just was brighter. I don't know, everything was clicking, and had nothing to do to. And she would say, don't copy me. And of course I would, and I couldn't stand up. I'd have to sit, or I would just lay down, because I couldn't get it. But it was always so much fun and healing at the same time. I love that class, still do.
It's beautiful when you get a teacher who can take those moments, like when we were doing paddleboard yoga up in New Hampshire, and this girl falls off into the water, and the teacher goes, "God, I'm so jealous. I wish I was in the water." And it's embrace the wobble, embrace that,
Yeah.
but with a sense of humor, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had two yogis in the night class, remember?
I remember who
Oh,
you're going to
yeah.
talk about.
I know. And it wasn't commonplace for comments or noises or anything to happen in the yoga class, but all of a sudden these two ladies were just cracking up over there on their mats because they'd fallen out of the pose, both of them, side by side, and just having the best time, reset themselves. And it just sort of broke the ice for everybody.
It liberated the whole room.
It did.
I mean, everybody felt freer to just
It was so
to
fun.
be imperfect
So cute.
and not
Yes.
We
take
all
it as the
laughed.
most serious thing in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do this pose. Duh,
Whoops.
that's why
I
you're
know.
here.
Zilla, you're gonna fall off. Oh,
Yep,
sorry.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have my two dogs here on the bed, and one of them's
That was your husband.
yeah, that was my husband. Yeah, he left. He went to go get a bone. Anyway, one of them's laying like this with it all splayed out, and the other one just laying there with a literal smile on his face. He was having a great time.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely.
Yep, there they are. Only two now.
My dog likes to sit in when I'm meditating too. At home, I generally sit on the floor, and she likes to curl up between my knees.
Yep. This one likes, yes, my farm dog is what I call him. He likes to get right between me too. And the poodle, the big poodle, he just about fell off. He was so relaxed. I love my animals.
Yep.
So let's go a little different direction with Alan Watts. Alan, uh, by the way, Alan Watts is on a Buick commercial.
His voice.
You have to catch it. It's his voice saying, let's say you had a dream, and every night your dream got a little bit better and a little bit better until it became now. And I think it's funny to hear this voice from the 50s that we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Alan Watts popularizing Eastern religion. But Alan wrote a book called On the Taboo Against Knowing Who You Are, the book. On the taboo against knowing who you are. We are told what happens to someone in Western society who says God and I are one.
Blasphemy.
And what do we do?
Excommunicated.
You're crucified. You're crucified. Attar, one of the great Sufi mystics, made that statement. You can't make that statement in Judaism, can't make that statement in Christianity, you can't make that in Islam. There is one God and you're not it. You've heard that every day of your life.
Especially in AA.
Okay, and so for someone to walk in and say, you need to understand you are God. Well, what is God? This is go back and read the beginning of Untethered Soul, because he says it so beautifully. What part of all my experience is the real me? Is it my id? Is it my super ego? Is it my compassionate part? None of those. None of those. But then what are you? You're compassionate awareness. You are not a thing. You are the backdrop. You are the space in which everything is moving. That's why it's so hard for us to grasp this, is because we want to concretize ourselves. We want something solid. How could awareness be me? But it's the right answer, folks. Okay? Everything that you experience is happening in the same field of awareness. That's what unifies your experience. Your awareness of the external world, your awareness of your internal world. They're not two different awarenesses. My awareness of my thought, my awareness of my body, my awareness of my emotions, not three separate awarenesses. It's the only constant. We're always looking for something continuous, something to take refuge in. The only thing out there that's stable and constant is awareness. Don't take my word for it. See it. And then relate to that. Does that make it? See? So that's why we're trying to allow thinking to stop, allow feeling to stop, allow the body sensations, and then for an instant in the crack in between, I see who I really am, and see how you feel when you land in that space.
And I think the key word is see.
Yes.
You're the witness. You see who you are, just like you witness your breath, you feel it. Okay, if our power goes out, that's it. You can hear the thunderstorm in the background. You feel your breath, you feel the body breathing. So you're not the body, you're watching the body.
Mm-hmm.
You're not controlling. I mean, you can control the breath, but ultimately you don't control the breath moment by moment. The body's in charge. The body. That's not you.
That's not you.
You're not your thoughts. They happen without your permission.
Absolutely. There's something your brain is generating. You are living in a simulated reality being generated by your biocomputer that was programmed by other people. That's why Matrix is so real.
That's a really good way to put it.
Okay.
Oh, that's some good thunder.
Yeah,
we're getting
we
it.
know how to do it down there in the south.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. I'm sure it's either coming our way over here soon.
It is. I just looked at the radar. It looks
Yeah.
bad up y'all's way.
It's all right. You'll just have to medicate the schnauzer.
Oh, I know.
That's going to be the name of my new group. Maybe you could do, Ryan. Why don't you call yourself Medicate the Schnauzer?
I like cute.
So what you're talking about, for me, it's the fear of letting go of the false sense of control that
Here?
I believe is keeping me safe to go to the allowing, as I do every week with the occupational therapist. There's a letting go concept that's my false sense of I need to be aware right now. I need to be in control because this is my safe zone.
Yeah. And we see it in animals. You take an animal raised in captivity and you release it in the wild, and what does it do?
Goes back to a cage.
It goes back in the
or
cage,
doesn't, it
folks.
goes around in circles.
The schnauzer comes back to the front door.
Yep.
And-
Eric Fromm wrote a book called Escape from Freedom, and we don't realize how much we're terrified of freedom. Even as we profess our desire for it, the door is always open. Go outside and play. No one's stopping you. No one's stopping you. And if you don't do it, it's self-hate, period. Period. That's the whole thing. Kafka wrote a book called The Trial. And this guy gets through this whole organization. He doesn't understand what he's being accused of. And it's what it's like what's living in your head. You know, you're on trial. You're guilty of something. They won't ever tell me what it is I'm guilty of, but I'm trying to prove my innocence on it. No, I'm innocent. So he gets to this door and there's a guard, and the guard says, well, you can't go in there. That's the way out, but you can't go in. Well, what do I know? I don't know. I haven't been in order to let you out. So the guy sits there until he's dying. As he's dying, he says to the gatekeeper, so what does it take you? And he said, really, you could go out anytime. I'm powerless to stop you. You want to be that guy on your deathbed?
Yeah, so like the programming is like the prison, like the animal in the cage that when it gets free, he goes back in the cage. So like the programming, the matrix is the prison in the smile. It's a really profound teaching, the smile, because you at least for me, I sit and smile in meditation and it feels so different than and you go, oh, the programming is not conducive. Like this is a conscious practice because the default programming will never just sit and let me smile. And that's pretty profound stuff.
Isn't that sad though, Matthew?
It's fucking awful, but I wasn't gonna say that.
Yeah, I know.
That's exactly what I was just thinking, was that and I've said this before, there's nothing in our culture that supports this. That's part of the reason that it's so hard. I mean, you have to really look hard to find, anything out there that supports mindfulness, that supports compassion. It's not on the news. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's not in schools, it's not on the job, unless you're lucky and work in Google or something.
It's no measure of health to be a fully functioning member of a sick society. Well, that's why we also feel so fucking alone. It's because the only time we hear this is for 1 hour a week here.
So again,
we got to remember it and carry it with us.
Thank you. Okay. So when we say, again, Thich Nhat Hanh, let's see what he had to say this week. I've been sharing this with people. We
Got it.
have a tendency to think in terms of doing and not in terms of being. We think that when we're not doing anything, we're wasting our time. But that's not true. Our time is, first of all, for us to be. To be what? To be alive, to be peaceful, to be joyful, to be loving. And this is what the world needs most. We all need to train ourselves in our way of being. And that is the ground for all our action. The quality of our being determines the quality of our doing. Okay? You hear how we got it reversed. Do to try to get peaceful instead of be peaceful and then do. Okay? What comes first?
The being.
Is the being. So establish yourself in your being. And I say that, what am I going to do about the war in Israel, Palestine? Be. What am I going to do about racism? Be. What am I going to do about sexism? Be. What am I going to do about the economy? Be.
And then
Act in a specific situation. And let what you do come from that.
I had an interesting and spiritual thing happen this week. I've had two poodles who I loved dearly, and they both died within the last 3 years. And so my heart leaps a lot when I see poodles, and there are a lot of poodles in Paonia. It's like little France, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I was driving home the other day, and I could see in front of me a lady was passing across the street with her poodle. And my heart usually leaps, but I just said, one of my dog's name was Sophie. I just said to myself, not out loud, and my windows were rolled up. I said to myself, oh, Sophie. And my heart just, more than usual. The dog stopped. It turned around. It pulled its owner to my car. Can you believe that?
Yes. Yes.
Great.
I had a very similar experience, Woody, a few years ago.
They're out there.
they pick up your energy.
In a car with the windows closed when they've already crossed the street and they're moving on. She just stopped dead.
Yeah. Energy, dear.
Turned around and came to my car.
Absolutely.
I just lost my 10-year-old poodle, standard poodle, about a month ago. He was happy as could be, barking and barking, jumped up in my bed where he likes to sit. He was my bed buddy, and died right in front of me.
Oh, God.
And it didn't happen immediately. So it was, anyway, I've got a whole graveyard now on a shelf with all my dog's ashes, but yeah, those dogs are
Sorry,
something.
Beth.
Oh, well, thank you. I've still got two, one big poodle and my other dog, but yeah, I get it.
Y'all need to take a look at Kat's lap dog.
I see.
Where?
I love it. Little baby thing.
Another one not fond of the thunder, I'm guessing.
Maybe.
I was playing with the other one. Oh my God.
That's great.
Mine do that. Oh my God.
Y'all are saying this, my bird feeder is empty. And I've got these birds that are in my window box looking in the window like, excuse me.
Excuse me.
We know you in the window. We know you're the one who does this, and
You need to get your ass up and fill my bird feeder.
that's right.
They do it to me all the time.
They do it to me.
That
Yeah.
people don't believe it, but they do. They know where it
do.
comes come and they sit and they shame you. They go,
I have one female cardinal who literally like comes straight up to the window pane and just stare at me.
I love it. I love it.
okay, folks, we need to go.
Okay, well, we haven't lost power, so let's ohm out.
Hey.
It's amazing.
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 Deep breath in.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling.
Everything's
Where you
coming my
put it?
way.
Where you?
Tom,
Oh, cutie.
Tom, I got a text from Kim Turner said that they got 6 inches in Golden.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Ow, ow, ow.
Wow.
I'll
Okay,
take the,
this
I'll take the t-shirt,
That's-
Tiffany.
This ain't it.
Might as well give it to
says
you, Dad.
Mountain
Might as well
Ski.
No,
give it up.
Dad.
It's just
Might as
gonna
well
be
give it
thrilled.
up. It's mine.
Yes.
It's mine.
So Linnell,
Like,
Linnell,
Funny.
you've never, I don't think you've ever shown us Nandi.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
he is not an object. He is a sentient and sovereign being.
Oh, he's a sweetheart.
Oh,
He's very nice. When
He
we were there during the
Oh.
eclipse, he was a
Oh.
little back in
He's out of here.
Camera shy.
Come on, Come
He
on.
is,
come here.
yeah, he's our guru in yoga and meditation. He pretty much just sets up in his little bed right there, and that's all.
He's a sweetheart. I love him.
Oh, look at him cuddling.
Yeah.
He's being cute. He knows he's being looked at.
Oh,
Hello, puppy.
Like,
Hello,
look at me, I'm
puppy.
handsome.
Not being so cute. I
And
know.
why
it.
did God put you here? To be cute.
mission accomplished.
It's why he
Hi
put
guys.
big
Have a
hair.
good
It
weekend.
wasn't to think hard.
Love you.
Here.
She's just here to be cute.
Oh, y'all have a great week.
Bye.
From New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be near you, Rachel, next Saturday.
Yeah.
Friday, we're going to be down on Maurepas outside of Jazz Fest. Come visit us, okay?
We'll be there Thursday night, Friday night, and leave for the beach Saturday morning after meditation.
After meditation.
Where are y'all gonna be?
Where?
Maurepas is the name of the street, a block away from the racetrack.
Oh, okay. So